All right, welcome in. It's Saturday. It's time for Total Bases, an hour later than usual, of course, because we go right before last call, which will be on at 11 a.m. Eastern right here on the WagerTalk YouTube channel. First, we've got an hour of baseball to break down. Props to you two. You guys both ended up on the same side for your 5% play, and both won easily with the Diamondbacks. So a nice winner right there. I had a 2-0 night as well. The Orioles came through for me. So I think we all three feel pretty good about going into today. Tokyo, Brandon, aside from the easy winner on the Diamondbacks, how was your Friday?
Yeah, I went 3-1 in MLB, including the 5% win, 3% wins. And then I won my Japanese baseball, and all my KBO got rained out. So it was good. And yeah, here on a Saturday, I'll be here on Sunday as well on my channel to cover Sunday's games as well. So feeling good, having a good weekend.
Yeah, it's nice when they come in, Brian, no doubt fashion. Arizona was always the right side last night, a blowout winner. How was the rest of your Friday?
We did have that 2-unit play that I gave out as my free play on the show, and that was the over in the Milwaukee game. Never really got the chance. A couple times we had runners going into second base, thrown out of second base, and that really hurt it. But yeah, it was a 2% loss. I'm still kicking myself I didn't use Baltimore. I also liked Baltimore in that game, and I didn't find a way to get to it. Wish I had, but hey, wishes and whatever they say, whatever that old thing is. I'm happy with what we did. We made another profitable day, and that's really what we're trying to do is grind out a profit every single day.
Yeah, so Baltimore ended up being my MLB client play. Went 2-0, had a winner in AAA as well, and similar to you, like I mean, obviously talked about it on the show, gave it out on the show. A lot of like raised money all day long that looked legit. And finally, at about 6 o'clock, 6:15, I was just like, you know what? I'm not going to be able to live with myself if I don't play, because Baltimore got as low as I think minus 113, 14, like almost a full like 10 cents from the show. And hey, they ended up getting the timely hit for the first time pretty much all week. These things even out. They got robbed of a home run in a game earlier this week. They were gifted. I mean, Jackson Holiday swung at strike 3. The guy, he was in the dugout, and the ump was like, nope, it's not a swing. Next pitch, he ties the game. And so, these things even out. The luck does even out, even though we'll sit here and talk about the bad beats all day long. Glad we had a great night last night. The chat is filling up. It's populated. Let's get going on the show today. And we've got to start with national TV and a very, very anticipated debut. Really, if you're a baseball fan, but more so if you're a Mariners fan who, as they've been clamoring for Cade Anderson to be called up for a while now. Bryan Leonard, I'll start with you. Interesting to me that they didn't give him a stint at Tacoma. I feel like it's like, you have a young kid, obviously talent-wise, AA, you're going to have all of like your high-end prospect talent, and those are the same guys your age. But, the pros are at AAA. Maybe they didn't want him throwing in altitude, and maybe that, when you're in the PCL, it messes with you a little bit. So maybe the schedule didn't line up. But he's going to go from AA straight to the pennant race, straight to the big league, straight to prime time, straight to the Cubs, who have one of the best 1 through 9 lineups going in the game right now. People keep texting me like, hey, what do you think? And it's like, I don't watch at nearly as much. Like I watch AAA because I bet AAA. I watch AA as much as the next guy. So this is like a pretty big wild card situation for me right here. I really am not that sure what to expect. Cubs Mariners, though, do you have a beat on Cade Anderson here?
Yeah, it's really interesting handicap here. I was talking to Ralph Michaels while I'm here in Daytona, and he had mentioned, he said, did he even make any, starts in AAA? And I said, well, it's a lot of times they keep the really sharp guys, the top guys in AA, and it will be a differential, especially going against a Cubs team here that was really good versus lefties. In my thought process, I thought I would play against him because of all the publicity he's been getting, and he's been talked about as the best pitcher in baseball pretty much in the minor leagues all season long. And then when he got here, I thought the lines would be bet up. Well, as of right now, Anderson is going against Peterson, the former Met, now Cub. Right now, Anderson's about a 115 favorite with a total of 7.5. That's not enough to get me involved in the Cubs here. If it for some reason takes some money, it's up to 130, something like that. I doubt if it will be. That's a pretty hefty move, but still, once everybody realizes he's out there and he's going to lay, if they bet it and he lays 130, I'm going to come back on the Cubs because, as I said, I think they got a 126 WRC plus on the season versus lefties. And Peterson's, he's had his ups and downs, but he's a legitimate major league pitcher. So, yeah, I'm hoping the public gets involved here and we get a better line. I'm a little disappointed it's not there right now, but that's why I'm looking to play it this way.
Yeah, listen, Peterson has been a lot better for the most part since getting to Chicago. He did not have a good start to the year with the Mets. He's definitely been better since showing up in Chicago, I think a little bit over a month ago at this point. Good or even great, Tokyo Brandon, in the minors would be an understatement for Cade Anderson. 93 and a third innings this year in the minor leagues, most of which were at AA. Arkansas, 135 strikeouts in 93 innings pitched, a 0.64 whip, and an ERA of 1.06. That is insane. With that being said, again, that league that Arkansas plays in is pretty pitcher friendly. Like typically that's, I think, considered one of the better sort of, a lot of pitchers parks, like, it would be the polar opposite really of the PCL, which is going to typically inflate numbers. You're dealing with altitude, which I have to wonder if maybe that's why they never made the move to bring them up to Tacoma. Even though Tacoma is probably the most pitcher friendly of any of the places in the PCL. So very interesting to me that in today's day and age, especially with some of the, that AAA it's on TV, it gets more attention. Very surprising to me that he never made the stop at AAA and now he's making the jump AA to the big leagues. This is your wild card right here, TB. What do you do with that?
Yeah, the first thing after looking over this game before I saw the line was Cubs are a better team overall. And to favor, then I looked at the line, I was a little bit surprised. To favor a guy who's making a jump from AA, no matter how good his stats are, facing, like Brian said, an established major league pitcher, I was kind of surprised that the Mariners are favored here. Looking at the lineups, I got them dead even at 15. They're both mediocre in current form. I look at the bullpens. They're both 19, neck and neck in current form. So the only deciding factors to me would be home field. So take a look at Mariners record at home. Yes, they have a winning record, but actually the Cubs away record is better than the Mariners home record. So home field doesn't really mean much in my opinion here. The only thing that differentiates these teams is the starting pitching. And do you trust a guy who's jumped up from AA, making his major league debut? He's going to be nervous as heck. If he gives up a hit on his first pitch, is he going to mentally break down or is he going to be tough? Is he going to tough it out? Is the manager going to protect him and yank him early? Or is he going to throw 5 innings of shutout ball? So you really don't know what to expect from a guy like that because his numbers, like you said, are absolutely stunning. But the level of talent is a big jump. And Peterson's used to this level of talent, although he has ups and downs. I would say Cubs are nothing. I don't think the Cubs should be underdogs here. I'm probably not going to bet the game, but if you're a live bettor, if you see that young guy struggling, I would bet the Cubs because these young guys, they'll get protected by their managers and he'll come out quite early. And I prefer Peterson more than the Seattle bullpen if he comes out early. So that's probably how I would play it.
So I'll focus on what we do know here. What we do know is the Mariners used some bullpen arms in yesterday's win. What we also know is it would be somewhat shocking to see Cade Anderson throw more than 6 innings here. I would guess it's probably going to be more like 5. Reason I say that, last few starts in the minors, 5 2/3, 5 1/3, 4 2/3, 5, 6, 5, 6, 6 2/3, 5, 5.1, 4.24. Like it's rarely has he gone into the 7th. I think in the games I just read off, which is this year, I think he's only pitched into the 7th inning once. So Now let's put big league hitters, and not just big league hitters, but good big league hitters. The Cubs have a very good lineup, as you both pointed out. Probably the more, it's not probably, definitely the more complete team than the Mariners so far this year. So, like, let's just say, like, he's lights out and phenomenal, and doesn't, let's say he gives up nothing for 5 or 6 innings. Like, the Mariners are still going to have to win the final 3 innings of the game. So, like, you have to ask yourself, if David Peterson can hold serve, the Cubs probably have a pretty big edge at the end of this game. And that may be a worthwhile edge if you're talking about getting them as an underdog here. To go back to Brian's original point, like, how big are they going to make the Mariners a favorite with a kid who's never stepped foot on a big league mound? At some point, you have to understand the best you can get here from Anderson in his debut is probably 5 shutout innings. I would say that's the best you can get. They'll still have to win the rest of the game. I don't know that that's enough to make the Mariners a favorite, in my opinion. So I would lean toward the Cubs as well. I do have one I love today. It's a 5% play. The other two, my 2 co-hosts, both easily hit their 5%ers yesterday. So I'm going to try to do the same today. That is up on my page right now. And you can get that as part of a double play package with either Tokyo Brandon or Bryan Leonard. Or if you want to ride those 2, you can get those 2 as well. But I do have a 5%er going tonight in a game that I like quite a bit, and not that game, not the one we just talked about. So let's get back to the chat. We've got a bunch to talk about today. Oh, we got a lot going on in the chat. Ken Key says he's going to be boots on the ground for that game. Well, that's awesome. I'm jealous. That's great. That's a park I've never been. Brian, have you been to T-Mobile yet?
Is that
Seattle? Have you been up to Seattle?
No, I have not. I don't pay attention to what they call them. They still call it Jacobs Field in Cleveland. So, yeah, I have not been to Seattle yet. It's cheap to fly there from Las Vegas. It's just so expensive to get a hotel room. It's I guess when you only have good weather 2 months out of the year, everybody wants to go at that time. But yeah, that's been the problem.
Yeah, I believe that, again, not relevant to baseball, but I'm pretty sure the state of Washington is like the most expensive state to live in the United States. Specifically Tacoma, where the AAA team is, very high cost of living. I have a family friend that lives out there. Very nice though. And it'll always be Safeco Field to me, Brian. I will get there someday. But shout out to our viewer who's going to be in the building for that game. That is very exciting. Probably getting to see, this is probably the best pitching prospect since Skeens. So, that's great to be at his major league debut. He also says, so good. We are going to get a game for him because we already talked about that game. He says, perfect game for Skubal today. Andy Pajes is hurt. So Tariq Skubal, this will be down in Los Angeles. That was a close game, as I thought it might be last night with the Pirates. The Dodgers end up walking it off in the end. And now they've got their kind of newly acquired ace on the mound tonight. Bryan Leonard, I'll come to you. Dodgers, Pirates. Do the Dodgers get it done again here?
Well, first off, regarding Andy Pajes, very good player. And he'll probably be out 4 to 6 weeks. But if there's any team that can afford a outfield injury, that's the Dodgers. They're loaded in the outfield in the minors. And when during the trade deadline, everybody wanted those players. So now they've got 4 or 5 guys that could take the place of anybody in the outfield for the Dodgers. Skubal's been pretty good for the Dodgers, but he hasn't been great. He's the lefty going against Pittsburgh here. And to get Jones in this price range, you have to take a look at Pittsburgh, don't you? Especially the way that game they lost that game yesterday. They were just as good as the Dodgers. And if you were to ask me right now, the difference between, and I'm sure TB will talk about this, difference between Jones and Skubal, yeah, there's a difference, but is there a huge difference? What's the difference between the Pittsburgh offense and the Dodgers offense right now? It's not a huge difference. And from the bullpen situation, although the Dodgers spent a lot of money on their bullpen, Pittsburgh's bullpen has been pitching pretty well. So if I'm playing this one, I'm going to try to find a way to play Pittsburgh, either in the whole game, first half, maybe Dodgers team total under, although the total of 7.5 is actually very low for a Dodgers game. They give up a lot of home runs in the stadium. The ball gets up in the air. It's not an overall great hitter's park. But they do give up a lot of home runs. So rather than deal with that, I'm going to try to find a way to play Pittsburgh. Either play Pittsburgh in the first 3, first 5, maybe the full game, because right now I'm looking. You're getting about 225 back with the Pirates here, and based on the way these teams are playing right now, Pittsburgh's still fighting for the playoffs. That's the only way I could look in this game.
I was close. Yesterday I was weird day where I had Tokyo Brandon. I had a bunch of opinions. None of them were super strong. I was tweeting them out because I just had 9 leans. I didn't, thankfully, decide to bet the Orioles kind of at the last second. But one of those opinions was the Pirates plus 1.5. It did get there, and that's the only way I could play this one. I'm with Brian. I would look for a way to take the Pirates. I like my road teams when I can get the plus 1.5 in an affordable price range. And they are once again in the plus 1.5 in an affordable price range. It hit last night. They lost the game. I kind of could see them maybe stealing this one. So yeah, Pirates plus 1.5 makes sense to me. But you still have to go against Tariq Skubal. So TB, is that something you would want to do?
Yeah, this is a tough one. First look, before I saw the numbers, my inclination was to say I think this game's going to be an under, and then I looked at the numbers, and it's 7.5. I don't think you can take a 7.5 with these two lineups. I was listening to the radio broadcast last night, and Rick Monday was pointing out that these two teams have the highest batting average in MLB since the All-Star break, I believe. So I don't think an under would be a good idea here. I forgot the exact statistic he said. I think it was batting average overall, or it was WOBA or OPS or something. But these teams are 1 and 2 as far as batting or hitting. So yeah, and then I look at my own numbers, and I've got them. I got them both ranked 11 out of 30 according to my rankings, and the bullpens are both ranked 15. So these teams are tight. You cover the logos and you can't really tell these teams apart. Starting pitcher will probably determine who gets the leg out in front. Both pitchers have excellent numbers against the batters they're facing right now. Here's how embarrassingly good the Dodgers are. They had, I just couldn't believe it. They have Kyle Tucker and Teoscar Hernandez hitting 7 and 8 in their lineup. Can you imagine a 7 and 8 on another team that's that good? I can't. Maybe the Cubs have someone near that, but this is just how embarrassingly good the Dodgers are. Yes, they're going to miss Paez. I would love to do an under, but I can't do an under 7.5 with these two lineups. So I probably won't play it. I guess Pittsburgh plus 1.5 would probably be the safest bet, because this is probably going to be tight. These two teams are very, very close as far as all the rankings are concerned. Skubal gets a little bit of a nose ahead of Jones, but if Jones has a good game, he can pitch just as well as Skubal. He's had some hiccups lately, though. So if he doesn't have a hiccup here, this is going to be a tight one.
So these two teams, the majority of this year, have been 1 and 2 in WRC plus in the league. Recently, the Pirates have taken a little bit of a step back. They were very cold to start the month of August. So going into August, the Pirates and the Dodgers were 1-2 in WRC plus. They've actually been passed since then for the season by the Cubs, the team that we just talked about in the open. That being said, the Dodgers actually, it is now a tie for first between the Dodgers and the Cubs, both a 111 WRC plus as a team on the season. The Pirates are still right there in the top 5, but they've fallen from 2 to 5. With that being said, the last week and a half, they've bounced back. They've been better than they were the first 2 weeks of August when they just stopped hitting completely. The final thing I'll say is, though, and I guess this is my thought process, I feel like I missed the opportunity to take the Pirates last night on the plus 1.5. Reason being, they stack better. They stack up much better against right-handed pitching, in my opinion. I think the numbers would suggest that as well. So now you are here. Now you're up again. You came so close last night, end up getting walked off in the 10th. Now you got to face a lefty. And not only do you have to face a lefty, you're facing a very, very good lefty, arguably the best lefty in the game. With all of that being said, though, I still think the Dodgers are quite inflated, which is sort of the talking point every time we talk about the Dodgers. It probably will be for most of the rest of the season. So it is a tricky handicap. Interesting one. That's another one that I believe is in that primetime national TV slot tonight. You're either getting the Cade Anderson debut or you're getting Pirates Dodgers on Fox tonight. So we hit both the national TV games right there. All right, let's continue along. Let's go back to the chat. Again, I have a 5% play tonight. If that is something that interests you, the two guys on screen to the right and the left of me both hit there. So I've got to complete the sweep here today, and that my play will go a little bit later today. But I know you guys are going to start clamoring for a day game if we don't talk about one. So let's go to Stoke. First game on the board today. He says Toronto Yankees. Tokyo Brandon, I'll let you kick this one off. Dylan Cease, probably your AL Cy Young Award winner at this point, especially if he pitches well here on the road against the Yankees. How do you see this one?
Yeah, I have two plays out in MLB today, and you can get a double play, which is baseball all access, either two of us three. Or you can get a triple play, which you can pick one capper and get 6 days for the price of three. So go to WagerTalk.com and see what's up. Yeah, I think this game is a lot closer. There's a Yankee tax here, and I don't really get it because I don't think anyone's going to argue that Cease is a better pitcher than Weathers. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's how I see it. Yankees bats have been quite cold. I still got them ranked 24th out of 30 teams, and I got the Blue Jays ranked 7. So the area that the Yankees dominate the Blue Jays here is bullpen. Yankees much better than the Blue Jays. So I don't know. I guess the Yankees team total first 5 would be a good play. I think Cease can tame these bats, and if you can get a 2.5 in the first 5 innings, I think that would be a good one. 1.5 I wouldn't play because 1.5 in the first 5 innings, any major league team can blow that up with one swing of the bat, if a walk and a blast. So if you could get a Yankees team total under, that might be a way to go here. I think Cease is a much better pitcher than Weathers, but when Weathers is on, he's on. So maybe a full game under might be a play as well.
Yeah, Dylan Cease is a much better pitcher than the entire league at this point, with the exception of maybe guys you could count on one hand. I don't think you could count on one hand guys that should be a higher power rated pitcher than Dylan Cease right now. I think he's going to beat Schlittler for the AL Cy Young, especially if he pitches well here. Schlittler, of course, pitched last night. He was good. 6 innings, 1 run, 4 strikeouts, 3 walks. The thing, Brian, that I took away from last night. Hedrick Blackburn Bednar for the 3rd time in 4 days. So if you think the Yankees have a bullpen edge, like they like all things equal, they probably do. But like with those 3 guys, I mean, they have just been burning bullpen innings this week. And that's what happens when you win a lot of games. The Yankees are winning games right now. They're winning them close. And that means these guys are pitching every day. So Brian, I think that's a bit of an equalizer. And give me Dylan Cease against just about anyone right now. I kind of like the Blue Jays here.
Let me take a quick look at the first 5 here. The first 5 is Cease in Toronto is about a 120 favorite. Not much different from the game. In the game, they're about basically 105. So you're laying 15 cents to keep the bullpens out of it. But Toronto doesn't hit lefties, and that's the problem I'm running into here. And we've got a total of 6.5. To the over. I see 1.7 minus 25 to the under, but really basically it's all 6.5. I can't play an under 6.5 in this stadium with the bats that are out there for these teams, even though they don't have a lot of their bigger bats in the lineup. It's still, these are 2 pretty good hitting teams. The Yankees haven't really hit in the second half of the season. Ever since they lost their leader Judge, they haven't been the same team, but they will be getting back Bellinger. He was either be back today or be back next game. I think he had to play 1 or 2 games in the minors just to get ready. But I'd like to play the under because Toronto can't hit lefties, and obviously nobody could hit Cease right now. But 6.5, I can't do that here in this game. So I'm a little torn. If you like Cease, I would say the first 5 at minus 120 is not bad. Yeah, this is once again we're still talking Saturday baseball, and a lot of these games are right about where I made it. So they're doing a good job from the lines maker standpoint.
Yeah, that's so a couple really good points. First, I believe the Blue Jays now are dead last WRC plus against left-handed pitching, which is it's kind of like amazing because I think even though the Blue Jays have played good ball of late and they're finding a way to win games, I'm pretty sure that WRC plus against lefties is going down. Again, Brian, I don't have that in front of me, but I think it's like they're pulling up the rear in that category by like quite a wide margin right now. I think it was down in the 70s the other day
79.
when I checked. 79. That's not.
And Colorado is 80, so they're worse than Major League Baseball. Yeah.
Yeah. Listen, WRC plus good would be great would be like 100 or better. 70 bad. So that is not what you want to see. Cody Bellinger. So my AAA bet last night was Scranton Wilkes-Barre, partially because Bellinger was batting second. And I thought that helped them. I thought it wasn't fully priced in correctly. And on the Scranton broadcast, they said he has an off day today. So you won't see him today. Okay. It is possible. So basically, they're giving him the day off. They're either going to let him play in Scranton again on Sunday or potentially call him up. If he'll either be back Sunday or I don't know if the Yankees play on Monday. A lot of times they do. They move guys around on the Monday off day. So I don't expect to see Bellinger in the lineup for the Yankees today, which is too bad because that would have been a guy that would have been a nice addition up against Cease, in my opinion, a lefty that can probably handle that, handle a guy like Dylan Cease. So yeah, I'm with you. I think under does make a lot of sense, but that number is tough. The Blue Jays, I still give the Blue Jays the edge here with Cease. And then, the fact that the Yankees bullpen has been used extensively over the past few days. But Brian pulling out that WRC plus, I don't know if I'm going to bet the Jays against the Southpaw for that reason. So lean Blue Jays has not made my card yet, but again, it's what I'll at least consider. I'll see how the rest of the morning goes along. All right, Tokyo Brandon, I'm coming to you. Kick us off for Alex Rand. He says, "Good morning, gents. Can we talk Cardinals and Phillies?" So Cardinals and Phillies. I gotta believe this is another early game. Could be wrong about that. No, it is this is another early game. We've got a couple of youngsters here. Well, it's funny how baseball does this. Basically 2 guys who both organizations probably thought is like the ace of their future. Both have kind of struggled, have kind of worked around injuries, and now they're matched up against each other in Philly this afternoon. So you've got Quinn Matthews on the mound for the Cardinals. And then you've got former first-round pick Andrew Painter, who is on the, I guess the second time around here. He's gotten called back up after being sent down to work on some stuff. Now, Painter is confirmed. I don't know if the Cardinals have confirmed Matthews yet, so I'll be trying to figure that out as we talk about this game. But Philly's at home here. It's definitely Painter on the mound for the home team. How do you see this one?
Yeah, I'm seeing places showing Palante as the starter. Is that incorrect?
I'm going to try to figure it out right now.
Yeah,
Brian?
I'm showing Matthews on the Odds Logic site, which is our site over here at it's an excellent site over here at WagerTalk.
Okay. So if that's the case,
Palante hit the IL last night. So Matthews, it would have been his turn at Memphis, and they're gonna move him up here.
Got it. Okay. Well, that makes this cap much easier. I like the Phillies here. They're the better team. But actually, I prefer the over in this game because we got 2 bullpens that are mediocre or slightly sub-mediocre in current form. We got 2 lineups that are top 7. Cardinals are smashing right now. Got them ranked 7, but Phillies are smashing even more. I got them ranked 2. So I see a lot of runs here. Painter has not been keeping balls in the stadium. He's got a 6+ ERA, and that's in 10+ starts. That is telling. That's not good, generally speaking. His 155 WHIP is also not very good. 2 heavy hitting lineups and 2 pretty unproven pitchers. Looks like an over to me because I don't see either one of these bullpens stopping the bleeding here. I like the over in this game.
Yeah, Brian. So you have Quinn Matthews has actually been pretty solid in his major league starts. My concern for him was less ability related and more the fact that like the Cardinals are kind of using him as this taxi guy right now, probably because he has the most options, but he kind of keeps going back and forth. He'll get called up, goes back to Memphis. They need him on a whim, send it back to Memphis. And it's kind of happened to him like 2 or 3 times. The reason I bring that up is that can be tough, especially on a young guy. I've said this a million times on the show. That's typically a role that I'll give you an example from the Phillies organization, like Alan Rangel, right? Who's like a guy that's like probably not really doesn't really have staying power in the big leagues. Like that's typically the type of guy, probably 28, 29, 30 years old, that you do that to, not a high draft pick who just made his major league debut the first week of August. So I don't love that for Matthews because he's probably made that roster jump 3 times in the last 3 weeks. And then Andrew Painter was a guy that I was looking to play on, but it's like he hasn't been like considerably better since coming back up. Like he had a good start against this Cardinals team. Maybe that's a little bit of a concern because they're going to see him again. Last time out against the Twins, got knocked around a little bit. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe over does make some sense here, just based on the fact that you've got 2 guys, and I'm not sure that you're getting a ton of consistency on either side.
Yeah, Matthews the lefty, Painter the righty. Painter's taking a little bit of money. He's up to about a 145 favorite here, total of 9. Is Philadelphia the better team? I don't know. They were better when they were really hot, but they haven't done a whole lot since. St. Louis did have that little bit of a setback after the All-Star break, but I think these 2 teams are closer than what this line says. Painter has pitched a little bit better lately than he has in the past. You can't help it when you've got that kind of talent that you're going to be better. And usually once a guy comes back up from the minors after being sent back down, he is usually a lot better. And so that's been the case here with him and Matthews. Matthews is a guy I kind of like. So let me see how the Phillies have done against lefties on the season. They're at a 93 WRC plus as opposed to 96 versus righties. Still not a good hitting team. But if I'm playing, I may be interested in Matthews here with St. Louis. I think at this price, I think it's a live dog. You're catching, 130 to 135 back with St. Louis. If I had to play it personally, I think the dog may have a little bit of value here.
Yeah, the tricky game. Basically for me, that there's just so much kind of inconsistency. And I too, Brian, if he hadn't gone back to Memphis 3 times in the past 3 weeks, Matthews would be like a no-brainer as the dog here, because I think he's probably the better of the 2 starters at this point. But man, there's just a lot of uncertainty in this one. And then of course Painter has pitched a little bit better since he's been back up. That's a very interesting game. Probably not one that I get to the window to. Let's move on to another interesting game here. Richie Bats says Braves plus 140 against Milwaukee. Not like the Miz is on the hill. Well, that's because the Miz was on the hill yesterday. That game ended up, I guess, being the Brian low-scoring game that everyone thought it would be. Even though we came on, kind of made a case for the over. It didn't work out. Miz was great. Chris Sale on the other side in a 2-1 final. But Richie makes a good point. It's not Miz, and yet you're still catching a pretty big price with the Braves here. So in your opinion, is that price too big? Do the Braves bounce back in Milwaukee today? Yeah,
Martin Perez, the lefty, who continues to amaze that he's able to get people out, going against Logan Henderson. Logan Henderson's really good. I really like Logan Henderson. But that's the future. Right now, Perez is in the tail end of his career, and he continues to pitch well. We're looking at Milwaukee here is about a 160 favorite, either 7.5 to the over or 8 to the under. Milwaukee finds ways to win. They've been very good with Henderson, especially at home. Do I think Milwaukee wins? Yes, I do. Do I want to lay 160 to find out? No, I don't. let me check. Like I said, the total 7.5, 8. Let me just get a quick look here at the spread. You can get, Atlanta plus 1.5. You're probably going to have to lay about 150 here. So that's more than what I would like to do. Let's look at the Milwaukee team total. Milwaukee team total under 4.5 at minus 135. That's not bad. That's not bad because I definitely like the Braves bullpen, and Perez has done pretty well. Milwaukee versus lefties on the season, 95 WRC plus as opposed to 108 against righties. Maybe that Milwaukee under team total 4.5 at minus 135 is probably the way I would play this one.
Tokyo Brandon, Brewers, Braves. How do you see this one?
Yeah, this is one of those games where you have to cover the logos up. And if you covered this logo up, you'd be surprised to know that the team hitting 28 out of 30 is the Atlanta Braves because they got so much power in their lineup. On the other hand, I've got Milwaukee ranked 4th or better in every category that I measure. 4th or better. That's a juggernaut. And Henderson is having an amazing season. What is he? 7-2 with the 2 ERA, 2.7 ERA. I mean, he's blowing people away. Martin Perez is doing well. I got him ranked 14 out of 30 on a curve of 30, where I got Henderson 4. And I like Milwaukee's bullpen better. It would be Milwaukee or nothing for me, but as Brian said, that price is way too high considering you're playing against a 65-win team or 75-win team. It's not like they're playing the bad news Bears. This is a perfect time to take a -1 in my opinion. If your team wins the game, you can knock 30 cents off the price, and if your team wins the game, you don't lose your money. If they win by 1, you get a push. So that's probably how I would play it if I were to, but I haven't yet.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big price for the Brewers. Kind of, very similar yesterday. My lean in the game was the Brewers. If we were just talking about a picking the right side or trying to pick a side, I thought that price was high, all things considered. So if you thought that one was high relative to the situation, then you got to think today's is virtually unplayable if you're looking at it the same way. That being said, personally, I don't really want to play back at Logan Henderson. He's a guy that I've been high on, that I like. Tokyo Brandon, you make a great point. What are the Brewers bad at? Maybe hitting the ball in the ballpark. Like you can't really. It's very hard to poke holes at this Brewers team. They're probably the most complete team in the sport right now. And unlike a team like the Dodgers, who you could say has more talent or could be better on the at their ceiling might be a little bit higher. The Brewers seem to take all 162 seriously every single year. I believe since the beginning of last year, no team in Major League Baseball has won more games than the Milwaukee Brewers. So they are a tough team to fade. But also in this scenario against a good team like the Braves, it's challenging to. I just don't know if I want to lay. I may have not refreshed this, but it's still probably in like the -170s for the Brewers here. Did it come down a little bit?
It's about 160 range.
Yeah. The Braves taking a little money there does not surprise me at all. But still, that's too high. That's too rich for my blood, I think, is a saying that used to get thrown around, and I guess I'll throw it in here. Tokyo Brandon, I'm going to go back to you. We have not locked in a parlay leg yet. Do you have a game that you'd like to talk about, or that we have talked about to kick this parlay off?
Yes. I'm going to go to the Miami-Washington game. I'm seeing Jake Irvin against Yuri Perez, and I like Miami here because they're hitting a lot better than Washington. And I like Yuri Perez. He's having a good season overall. And I don't like Miami's bullpen, though. And Washington's bullpen, surprisingly, they used to be an auto fade bullpen, but now I got them ranked 7 out of 30. So let's get rid of the bullpens and take Miami in the first 5 innings on the money line. I think that's where I'm going to go with my parlay leg, because I don't like Jake Irvin at all. And Washington's bats are a little cold right now, and Miami's on a roll. So I like Miami in the first 5 for this game. I don't know if Miami's on much of a roll, but I like Yuri Perez.
You're going to have to lay 190 for the first 5.
That's fine for a parlay. I'll take that. For a parlay, that's fine. Yeah.
Brian, would you lay minus 190 there with Yuri Perez in the first 5, or lay this price for the Marlins for the full game?
I would rather take him in the full game. That gives you more time to play against the Washington bullpen, which is better now than it was in the past. But still, that's the weakness on the Washington team. They can hit. They do have some injuries right now, though. But yeah, Irvin's not a guy I'm looking to back. So yeah, I don't like to lay a lot, and I say that right before I give you probably a favorite here in my part of the parlay. But yeah, I could see it. But when I got what I consider the better team, and right now Miami is, I think they're slightly better with the injuries that Washington has had. I want them to play more innings, so you're going to get 9 innings. You only get 8.5 if they're winning, but to lay a little bit less to do that, I'd lean that way a little bit more than the first 5.
Someone asked, did every favorite win yesterday? And I was just trying to go through pretty quickly. I think the only favorite to lose was the Tigers. And again, the two that, like I said, I suppose, so yeah, it was a very chalky Friday. I don't really know that matters, or I don't think it means that, like all the dogs are going to come out and win today. But yeah, almost every home team and almost every favorite did win on Friday, for what it's worth. That being said, as far as this game's concerned, I don't have a ton to add. TB, I kind of agree with you. I'd much rather have Perez against Irvin. I'd much rather have the Marlins at this point right now at home against the Nationals, who I think have maybe run out of gas just a little bit. So I can't really push back on this much. And I hope you win for the sake of our parlay, because we went 2 of 3 yesterday, and we've got to get a nice clean sweep here. So Brian, we're looking at Marlins first 5. You said minus 190?
Minus 190.
Right. Tommy Turnbuckle says the Tigers weren't favorites. They opened they closed at minus 102 underdogs. Favorites went 15-0 yesterday. Yeah, I think the other one in question would have been Mariners Cubs. That was like, they were both right around that minus 105. Yeah, it was a chalky day yesterday. We absolutely can say that the chalk reigned supreme on Friday. Brian, you said you're about to give out a favorite. Which one is it? Who are we looking at for the parlay here?
Yeah. I'm going to head back to the game that we really enjoyed yesterday, and that was the Cincinnati-Arizona game. We had Arizona in that game, took a quick 3-0 lead and wins 9-0. And I see more of that coming here. Is Lauder's on the mound for Cincinnati, not a huge Lauder fan. He's going against Soroka. And when Soroka is healthy, he's an extremely good pitcher. Arizona comes from the stronger situation here, where coming back home in the first game back home, sometimes you had, even though we had them yesterday, we kind of have to worry about that a little bit. But now they're back home and they had a good game. And Cincinnati is one of the reasons why I went against them yesterday was how many games in a row they've had to play. I believe it was like the 6th game in 5 days or whatever. That still comes around here. They're still on the road, and they're a team fading fast. So I'm going to fade Cincinnati here. I'm going to take Arizona. You can get anywhere from 160 to 180. Let's call it about 170. Well, that's I only see 1 or 2 places that are 175. Everybody else is 170 or less. If I'm going to lay it, I might as well give it out at a number that everybody can get, and could probably do better actually. So I'll take Arizona minus the 170 with Soroka over Lauder. Make sure you do specify the pitchers, because that's what gives Arizona the big advantage here. If Soroka doesn't start, or if Lauder doesn't start, we'll just sit back and not worry about it. We don't have to have any money on it, because we did list the pitchers.
Tokyo Brandon, you won't find a worse team in Major League Baseball against right-handed pitching than the Cincinnati Reds. They have been at the bottom of the league in WRC plus against right-handed pitching all season, pretty much since March at this point. And now you talk about a team coming in with probably the least momentum you could ever come in with. Of course, they lost the game on a routine fly ball that was dropped on Thursday, and then went out to the desert and got their teeth kicked in last night. It does not seem to be going well for the Reds. This sort of seemed that drop fly ball to me was the nail in the coffin on the season for this team. And when you just don't hit and you have to like win every game and like the margins and stuff like that, it becomes tough in my opinion. So I'm with Brian. Do we have a clean consensus agreement here on Reds Diamondbacks?
Yeah, we do. I mean, not only are they the worst team against, what did you say, against right-handed
Yes.
pitching? Is that what you said? I've got them ranked 21st or worst in every single category. They could be, in current form, they could be the worst team in the entire league right now. Maybe Colorado would give them a run for their money, but I've got Cincinnati bottom of the barrel right now, and momentum is not on their side either. Add to the fact that Soroka is looking more like the Atlanta Braves Soroka, and his numbers against these batters he's facing today, 45 at-bats against, a 156 average and a 602 OPS. So runs will be scarce for the Reds today, in my opinion, despite this hitter's ballpark. They're facing a bullpen that's revived. They're facing a starting pitcher that's revived, and they're facing a team that's actually got playoffs on their mind. I don't see a path to victory for the Reds today, but that's exactly when a team like that comes out and wins a game. But there's no way you could put real money on the Reds today, in my opinion.
Tokyo Brandon, I'm going to throw another angle out in this game that, as you're talking, I kind of got to thinking, another team that's not very good against right-handed pitching is the Diamondbacks. They've struggled against righties collectively this season. And, I too don't really love either bullpen, especially the Reds. I think I've talked about them a lot recently, having kind of a bottom 10 bullpen. But, the Diamondbacks would fit the description of a team that sort of broke out, put up a big number yesterday. I could kind of maybe a first 5 under here. Typically not like the way I look at games, but like you take the bullpens out of it, you go Louder, who's a righty, you get the D-backs against a right-handed pitcher. And then Brian, you kind of explained, why you would like Soroka against this lineup. Do you have a first 5 under price in front of you? Just curious.
First half would be 4.5 under 120.
Yeah, like that half run, in my opinion, I think that's a bad line. Yeah. I think it should be 4. So if you can get a 4.5 minus 120 or better for first 5 under, Tommy Turnbuckle says an under is the best look in this game. Tommy, I think I agree with you when I start to factor in price. I think under makes a lot more sense than the side here when you start to factor in the price, especially if you can get that hook in your favor in the first 5. That's a good look right there, in my opinion. Man, Tommy says first 3. You guys were the first 3 the last couple of days. Someone had a first 3 winner in that game the other day that like we got blown up in the 5th inning. So maybe first 3 is the way to go. Who knows? I think the way to go tonight would be to check me out for 5% play. I hit my 5%er out. We're having a good week on the 5%ers. I cashed my 5%er on Wednesday with the Giants. The 2 guys to my right and my left both hit a 5%er on Friday. I'd like to keep it going tonight. I've got a 5% play in Major League Baseball. Tokyo Brandon, what do you have on the site for sale today?
I have 2 baseball plays in Major League. I will have Asian baseball as well, and I'm doing a Sunday morning MLB show at 9 a.m. Eastern, so I'm going to have a jam-packed weekend.
I may have some NFL preseason. We'll see if if the stars align. I've got a win on the week 2 already. But I do intend to probably play something. We've got a whole bunch of football games today. Brian, anything up for sale at the WagerTalk site for you today?
Yeah, I have 1 play up right now, and I'll be putting up more as the day goes on. After doing this show, I'll be doing Last Call with Kelly in Vegas, and that comes up in about 10 minutes or so. And after that, I'll put my plays up. But if there's any game we didn't discuss here, I'll probably try to discuss it on the next show. So if you're interested in that, let's do that.
Yeah, we get to as many as we can in the hour to do it. We actually got to 7 games today. Typically get to 6 on this show. So we try to give you a deep dive into 6 or 7 games. We did talk about my parlay leg already. I'm going to try to ruin this thing early, Brian. I'm going to go with the Blue Jays, even though they are up against the left-handed pitcher. I love Dylan Cease. I've said this for months on this show that he's going to win the Cy Young. Before that was the cool opinion. Now it seems like a lot of people agree with me in that regard. Brian, what money line am I looking at for the Blue Jays right here?
That's looking right now at about -105.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you're giving me Dylan Cease -105 against a Yankee team that's used basically their 3 best bullpen arms 3 of the last 4 days. That's going to be good enough for me. So I will take the Blue Jays -105 on the full game. Brian is going to go Diamondbacks -170 full game. And then Tokyo Brandon is going Marlins first 5 money line -190. So that's your 3-teamer today. D-backs money line, Blue Jays money line, and then Marlins first 5 money line -190. That is your 3-teamer today. That is your show. Don't miss Brian. Stay tuned. He's on last call at the top of the hour. So stay tuned for that show. And then tune in Tokyo Brandon. What time is your Sunday show?
9 a.m. Eastern on my YouTube channel.
No days off for TB. He's going to be here 9 a.m. breaking down the Sunday slate tomorrow. The 3 of us will be back on Monday morning for another edition of Total Bases, 9 a.m. Eastern. We'll see you guys then. Cash all your tickets. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Thank you.